I love that guitar sting. I wrote that guitar sting. I'm just kidding. I did not. I have no musical talent. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here on Entertainment 411, all things entertainment. We are talking television, film, commercials, theater. That guy that came to your door and gave him his pamphlet for his one-man show and wanted you to come see it down in Jane and Weston. All of it. It's all here live on Entertainment 411. And today we have a very, very special guest. If y'all don't know, then y'all need to learn, because this young woman is a phenom in the Canadian entertainment business. She is a writer. She is a showrunner. She is a creator. She is a producer. She is an artiste. Annmarie Morais. Say that 3 times fast. Annmarie Morais. Annmarie Morais. Annmarie Morais. Annmarie Morais. Yes, please welcome to the stage multiple Canadian Screen Award winner Annmarie Morais. And my dog is barking on cue. Remember we talked about this before the show? Dog is barking.
I'm glad yours did it first. So mine will start barking later.
Ladies and gentlemen, Annmarie Morais is a writer, producer, showrunner. And I mean, you know the shows. You've auditioned for the shows if you're an actor. Maybe you've wrote on the shows if you're a writer. You've worked on these shows. I'm going to start off with a classic, The Kink in My Hair. I used to watch that when I was actually getting into the industry. What a show. I mean, especially the content of that series, to be out on network television during that time is a feat in itself. And of course, most recently, you're known for, Killjoys. You're known for American Soul and The Porter. Multiple, I think this is right, was record setting. I think still record setting nominees and wins for The Porter, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think we were up there anyways.
Don't be modest. Yes, it is. 10 wins, right? The Canadian Screen Awards. Yeah. I was there in the audience, and it was hype, let me tell you. And of course, a show you guys are all watching right now, Law & Order Toronto. You are a writer on that series as well, correct?
I did this the first season. I'm not season, but I did season 1, the inaugural.
Anyways, I just boosted you up to the T. Welcome. I'm good. Are you good with that? Should I just?
Yeah, I'm so good. That's
you
great.
Keep me in your pocket if you want. I can come and just do this every time you enter a room if you'd like.
I would love it. I would love it. Brilliant.
Welcome to the show. I'm so glad to have you here and to share your knowledge and wealth with us. I mean, look, we love having showrunners, producers, writers of your ilk on this series, because it really, really does help get, that inside scoop, and it puts the person to the name, because a lot of times we see the name and we're like, who is that? Because, you guys got a lot of personality hidden under there. So I'll let you start off just by telling us just real quick, what was your journey into getting to where you got to today? I know it's only an hour and a bit show, so don't worry. Take your time with it. We kind of want to know, because here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that there's no school of show running or producing. It just, people tend to do other things and sort of it falls into their lap. So I'd love to hear where you started from and how you got there.
Yeah, I won't roll it all the way back to the small town in Spanish Town, Jamaica, but I will say, I think I came into it through kind of a haphazard means. I've always been the book nerd, love a good, when the librarians know you by name, you're a real book nerd, hey, I'm like, my people. So I've always loved story. I've always written just for the joy of writing, poetry, plays, everything. And I think and I've told the story before, it really wasn't until high school that I figured out that not everyone writes, which I was genuinely surprised, because they were like, oh, we want to do this play, because of course I was a theater nerd too, and it's like, we want to do this production, and we can't get the rights to this play. And I said, well, why don't we just write a play? And the way that I was looked at by the entire room, like, what do you mean just, don't you just write plays for and I'm like, no, people don't just write plays for fun. It's not a thing. I was like, oh, I'm weird. It's a thing. So I really kind of discovered then that, writing is not something that everyone can do or everyone does. And it was like a revelation to me. So I've always been involved in production. I've done like small little shows, little bit parts. I was always tend to be Black girl with attitude #1. And I had like one line, or Black girl with attitude #2. And it's like, I'm the nicest person. Why am I always Black girl with attitude? And then so it was like, oh, well, if I go to film school and learn how to make stuff, then at least I can kind of, it's like learning how to sew a dress. I can build the role and I could do the thing and I can sort of create who I wanted to be. And in that process, I really fell in love with the writing portion of it. And I have love for different parts and all parts, but I loved being away from everyone with a story, building the world of the story. And it was, before all the hands got involved. And sometimes that was great. And sometimes that was not so great. And that's still the same way. But that was really the journey for me into realizing there was a world where people had actual careers doing this thing. Because I grew up in like Brantford, Ontario, Canada. It's not a small thing to say I'm a Jamaican immigrant. My mom was a healthcare aide. My dad worked in a factory. I didn't have any producer relatives. It wasn't like a Nepo baby at all in this industry. So it was really something to say, I want to tell stories. And I had a couple of wonderful professors at York U in screenwriting. And one of my favorite ones said, like, look, about 10 years, in about 10 years, you'll be good. Like, not that you weren't a good writer, but in terms of your career, like, give yourself about 10 years. I'm like, 10 years? Are you crazy? Give yourself 10 years. And it was really, I think, 9 years to the day that I actually started like, oh, I'm making a proper living at this. And he wasn't far off the mark. So it was really kind of a journey, like, born of, I knew I love art. I knew I love story. I knew I loved, and little angels along the way said, hey, there's a way that you can do this and have a life that you love.
Absolutely. It is a journey. As anyone knows in this business, it's such a stumble into place kind of situation, trying to bet on yourself. And it's very difficult, especially, as an actor. I mentioned this with Anthony on our show last time. As an actor, you can kind of see the small steps and goals when you like book like a one-liner, you book a commercial, you book a little thing here and there. You're like, oh, okay, I'm doing this. As a writer, it's a lot of like, there ain't no like, hey, write this sentence for this episode for me. It's just like, it's like you're either in or you're out. It's pretty cold turkey, cold cuts on a sandwich with mayonnaise.
Yeah. That's an unpeeled sandwich, but yes.
Yeah, yes. So I guess my question, to kind of juxtapose to that was like, what did you do in between? Like, did you have a Joe job? Were you doing other things with the writing to, supplement survival when you're in between jobs? And what was that like? Like that feeling of, I'm sure, like, man, this is not what I want to do, but this is the way to live right now.
Yeah, I had a lot. It's probably no longer true, but I used to defy any of my friends to have a longer resume than I did because I had so many Joe jobs, so many. But my goal was to take any job that would allow me to write. So if I had to take the job home and do like, that wasn't gonna work. So I would work the graveyard shift at a security dispatcher, and I would write most of my shift, and every now and again I answer the radio. Whatever.
Someone's robbing the. Yeah. Hang on, I'm on the last page.
Like, you have a flashlight, sir. This is not like, calm down. Wait for the real police. So yeah, basically any job that I could leave easily and that would let me write. And so I did that for a long time, for about 8 years before the 9 years. And then I was entering my stuff into competitions and anything that would kind of elevate my name and my work. And eventually that was the door that opened first. I ultimately was a finalist And then the next year I won the Nickel Fellowship. And I think at the time I was the first Canadian to do that. So then you had all these doors and opportunities, but you were still not necessarily bringing in a check. I mean, the beautiful thing about that fellowship was, at the time it was like 35,000 American. So you could supplement your income and have a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately I found my way through a series of weird events to copywriting and in motion picture copywriting. So to this day, I will look at movie posters and the line in the poster, I'm like, I could do better than what is this line? Like I do this all day.
Yeah.
So it was actually a lot of fun. It was hard, believe it or not, but it was a lot of fun doing that. And that was my when things were lean gig, and even when things were not, just to kind of cushion myself. So yeah, I had a lot of jobs.
There you go. See, ladies and gentlemen, everybody has to hustle. The hustle is real, especially in Canada, man. It's like when you compare, like, the income that's here versus, unfortunately, maybe not so much nowadays, but the U.S. It's like it drives me crazy. I mean, I told this to Anthony last time too. I made more money on a U.S. Wendy's commercial than I did on 3 episodes of Suits. How the hell does that make any sense?
Oh, no.
It makes no sense. And you know what the worst part of the Wendy's commercial was? I was a spoon in a mascot costume. I wasn't even saying anything. I was a spoon, guys. I was a spoon. I kind of looked like a tampon. It didn't even look like a spoon. It was just a white.
That's perfect, though. I mean, that will never come back to haunt you.
Never again. I don't
on the late night couch. I mean, who knows who the spoon is? Like, no one.
But no, it just goes to show that, like, the guys, especially someone with your credentials, it's humbling to hear and refreshing to hear that everybody struggles. Like, it just, especially in our business, it's always like you said, there are the few nepos babies out there who get a little bit of a boost, but right now I'm seeing a lot of, especially in the people of color, the BIPOC community, people who have obviously had to grind their way to the top and are now in a position of decision making. So a little snappy snap for that. A little shout out for Jamaica. A little shout out for Trinidad. A little shout out for St. Vincent.
Yes.
A little West Indian in a row guest list. I think Charlene's from somewhere. She got some flavor in her. She's got some sort of seasoning in there. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching eBoss Entertainment 411. We're with Annmarie Morais. She is a writer, showrunner, multiple award winner of all ilks, and has done amazing work in our community, and is obviously working on shows you are looking at right now. So if you're just joining us, please make sure you drop some comments below and ask the question. We have a contest, as you can see, hashtag shadow, creepy, not like ghost and shadow, but more like shadowing, as in following. Yes. So you guys have an opportunity to shadow for a day with Annmarie Morais. I will put a disclaimer. She is on the East Coast, so I hope you like oysters and getting slapped in the face with a fish, because you got to do that when you land. So we will keep you posted on that. Just make sure you enter below using the hashtag shadow, and then you will be entered into the contest with a chance to win a one-on-one shadow session with Annmarie. Annmarie, I want to just ask you, our business today, since COVID, has just been crazy. It was flip-flopped on its backside. I believe The Porter was around the same time as we're just recovering, or was it shot during COVID as well?
Shot during COVID.
Shot during. Okay, yeah. You guys were shooting around the same time as us. What was that process like, and what do you think of how the process is now when it comes to like self-tapes via Zoom, self-tapes? Just, I mean, I'll say it seems like there is an oversaturated amount of self-tapes coming in now. People are getting way more tapes in. It's a little less selective. It's also a little less one-on-one. What are your thoughts on that? Pros and cons. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you wish there's an in-between?
Yeah, I can hear, like, I'm thinking of my co-showrunner, Marcia. I can hear her sort of laughing in her head at me. I'm so good with like being in my pajamas in my house on Zoom, not in a room, not under fluorescent lights, not, I kind of love that. Yes, there absolutely is an energy. I mean, during the Porter, during that time, obviously there was so much protocols and so much time and money that had to be spent on testing, math, everything. So that just made things exponentially more challenging. but we got through it, and people were very respectful of that process, but it took a lot. But I loved being able to be in a virtual room because we could have people from different, not necessarily we all weren't in the 416, and we could still be all in a room. And yes, I will 100% agree that it is a different vibe to be in the same space and the same like air and just sort of feeling that energy, and that's great. So I'm not opposed to that at all. I'm generally, I think because I started, or maybe it's my personality, but I started in the features, which is a very solitary world. And so it was a transition for me to come into this, like, everybody's in the sandbox kind of thing about being in TV. It was like, what are these people doing in my sandbox? Like, this is my box. Why not just share my ideas and talk about things? So it was a real transition. So to me, it was like kind of a return to where I began, like just me and talking to somebody or talking to my story editor or getting notes from the producer. And it was that's my vibe. Like, it really is my vibe. So I 100% understand for people for whom that is not, that doesn't do well for them. But for me, I love the opportunities that allow us to connect from different cities and different places and in different ways. And I'm also in a really, like, I've moved to a really peaceful corner of the world. So when I get off the camera, I literally only have to step out into my, my back deck and, look at the water and look at the birds. And like, I can refresh myself in my own space, which I acknowledge not everyone gets to do. So I'm like, yeah, there's pros and there's cons, but I'm not mad at it. I really am not.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that is fair. T-shirt and my pajama. I got pajama pants on. I'm just kidding, guys. I got track pants on. They're Adidas. I'm not that black. Dress up nice for you, Annmarie. Yeah, I guess the question is, like, are you still able to feel like comparative, like, to in the room? I'm as an actor, like, I'm in the middle. I like not having to just drop everything I have to do and just be like, hey, you have an audition tomorrow at like 1 p.m. By the way, here's 12 pages of audition to memorize.
Right.
Like the fact that we're getting a lot more time now because we have the Zoom. I wonder if there's like an in-between. I feel like the self-tapes, personally, I don't know. I feel like we're missing like that human connection. We're missing that, like, hey, I feel an energy off this actor or this writer, even if it's an interviewer or director or what have you. And I wonder if you find that that's lacking. And I also wonder, do you find like there is like, is it like now we're getting too much choice, whereas before it was, okay, look, we're going to find a very specific amount of people who we think can do this because time is money.
Right. Yeah, I hear you, like, in terms of getting those, from the actor side, and we saw so many self-tapes for the quarter, so many. So I was grateful for the opportunity to see people that may not have been able to be in the room. Because it was challenging. You were looking for a very specific thing, and sometimes it's hard to get that specific thing in the room. But there is definitely like an energy about when everybody's in that room and you hear the words together. Like, you cannot deny that there's something very powerful about that, and even about being able to sort of look someone in the eye and redirect. I mean, I think back to my first film that got produced, which is How She Moved, and Dwayne Murphy, who's well known in Canadian circles, coming in to read for something, and we were like, I remember looking at Jennifer Kawaja, and we sort of kind of whispered to ourselves, there was something about him that said, I think he can do more than this. Like, I think there's something else in this guy, and he ended up getting the lead male role in that film, but like, he was reading for something else, and there was just something that we felt together. Like, we just looked at each other like, yeah, there's something more about this. So I don't know if I would have got that on a tape. Probably not.
Fair enough.
So there are things that are lost and things that are gained, and we're just kind of rolling with the world that we're in and trying to maintain as much human connection as we can, because that is really sort of slipping away in a lot of respects. So yeah, I hear you.
True. Fair enough. Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, you're here live with Annmarie Morais. This will be available later on, but if you are here live with us, please ask some questions if you have any. And we're also doing a contest for a shadow session with Annmarie Morais, one-on-one, TBD, on the East Coast. Make sure you save up your Air Canada points. Don't travel with a suitcase. It will get lost. And you do hashtag shadow to be entered into the contest for your chance to win. Again, Annmarie, thank you so much for being here with us. We do appreciate your time. I'm going to ask you about our industry right now. Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada. Now, I know, I told you earlier, let's try to be positive on this chat, but hey, this is real. Let's talk real stuff. Where do you feel like bless you. Where do you feel like we're going as far as content in Canada? As far as getting things made? I know right now the economy isn't the best. And what is your thoughts on like the US who come and shoot here and cast and hire a lot of US citizens? Like, does that frustrate you? Or would you like to see networks pick up more CanCon, more Canadian showrunners, writers, producers, and get things made that are more in-house?
Yes to all of that. I think we have really kind of...
It's okay, you could say it. We're live here at J411.
No, I know. I mean, I feel like we've made so many concessions, and I understand people need to work, and this is a tough business, and the industry is changing, but we've made so many concessions to allow these sort of big entities to come and set up shop here and shoot here and do whatever they need to do. And we have to fight for our space in our own country. And that is bizarre because it doesn't work in that, in the opposite direction. It doesn't work that way. They claim space. So it's like, well, where is the incentive for them to, to make sure that, our storytellers, our showrunners, our writers, our talent is being given the same opportunities, being utilized, is being compensated accordingly. So it's immensely frustrating when I feel like there are so many, there's a lot of, there's a lot of slipperiness going on, like a lot of these sort of big mega industry, there's a lot of slipperiness going on. And I was like, if we don't monitor that, if we don't regulate that, then it's just, we are just sort of casualties in this sort of entertainment war. And it is a fight to get our stories out there. It's a fight to make sure that we're not just like, passing as New York or doing whatever, that we have stories that matter no matter where they're set and who they're set. But, Canadians should be at the helm of Canadian productions. And
do you think it's a culture thing? Do you think we're a little too lay down and let them walk all over our back sort of mentality? Do you find that we have a Canadianism? Because I always used to fight with my peers about just like not having confidence. There's so much times where like we're bred as actors to be like, okay, you go into a casting room and you're polite. You go in, you're just quiet, you shut up, you put your papers on the ground, don't ask questions, don't put your chair, just go in and just hi, hey, ooh, sorry for like. I feel like that is like a real thing with Canadian, because we're polite. We don't like to upset, we don't like to disturb, and I feel like there's a fine line between ego, confidence, and cockiness, you know what I mean? Or confidence and cockiness. There's a fine balance that we have to have. As I just feel like in our industry specifically, even as a writer director, when you go into a network and just be like, hey, this is the idea, this is my pitch. I don't know where I'm going with this. I kind of do, but I'm just kind of more venting. I just feel like our culture is a little too polite. I think we have to just, like you say, fight for our space, grab it, and be like, hey, we have talent here. We have people who can work and deliver. We've proven it time and time again. You know, and then we prove it, and then the shows are done, and then they're like, okay, well, on to the next. And it's like, well, what? Why aren't you rewarding the people who have done the success you're looking for, or have shown that success.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think those who are the studios and the networks and the streamers who are taking advantage of those, of the circumstances that we've allowed, if that's not regulated in a way that promotes our talent, that protects our creative resources, I mean, people will do what you allow them. And there's a lot of, we watch sort of the CRTC hearing. I mean, there's a lot going on. And it's like, the math ain't mathin'.
Yeah.
You're not, you can't cry poverty. You can't cry. Like, you're here. You are using our resource, and we need to have our fair shot at the table. Like 100%. We just need to have our fair shot at the table. And I think, culturally, the fighting and the politeness, there's a fair bit of politeness to it, but I think there's a new kind of wave of resistance that I love. There's a new kind of a very vocal, especially in the BIPOC community, there's a very vocal outcry. And I think that needs to be regulated from the government. It needs to be regulated from all those players involved in this game. And because it's our livelihood and it's the future of our industry. And I don't know a nation that doesn't have a great protective resource of their creative pool. Like, you watch our UK, and we watch our, even our news, like, there is a protection around those artists. And why don't we have the same pathways, the same protections, the same resources here? In our own backyard. So I think that's what I love about what I see now, is there's definitely a fight, and there's definitely a vocalization, and there's definitely a resistance to just being a byproduct of somebody else's stories.
I agree. Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, again, Annmarie Morais. We're here live on Entertainment 411, showrunner and writer. Annmarie, let's just lighten it up now. We got a little political. I like that. We're the ones, you're talking about us, the ones that are a little more vocal. This is a little interception kind of nonsense going on. What do you do for your free time? What is a perfect day? No library, okay? No library, no writing, nothing about your job. What's the perfect day for Annmarie Morais? Like, what do you like to do? What do you like to do in your spare time? Any hobbies? Any loves?
Perfect day. Oh my goodness, this feels like a chicken shop episode. The perfect day for me is like, I mean, I've turned like this. I'm so weird, but I've turned into like the weirdest kind of nature girl geek now. Living out here, and like, I think I'm a low-key birder now. Like,
okay. I have a buddy who does this. He's like, we're going on a run, and he's like, that's a red willow buck. What the hell are you talking about, man? Like, that bird just peeked in my head. Shut up.
I will sit on the back deck. There's a lake at the back of the property, and so the trees everywhere. And so I'm like now trying to like get the sounds all, like a cup of tea. There's always a cup of tea that I usually spill at some point. So there's several cups of tea near me. Something like mango or some kind of mildly affordable exotic fruit. And a book over there somewhere. I know.
Mildly exotic fruit?
It's a budget. We're all on a budget out here. We can't afford like the cup.
No, there's no Julie mangoes or anything like that. It's just like oranges.
Whatever's 2 for $1 at no. And I was like, watch things and listen to things and just let the stress kind of drop, for a minute. Like,
I love it.
I love that. I also paint and, draw and do all kinds of other like artsy girl things, or guy things, not just girls are artsy. But but truly, like, I am all about keeping my peace in this weirdly stressful time of our industry and of our planet. So anything that promotes that, I'm down for it.
So you are Cordelia Cup of the residents. You're just not the detectives, what you're saying. You have seen that, right? You've seen the Netflix?
Listen, don't be giving any spoiler because I just start. Okay.
Oh, good show. So good. That is my
That's your jam?
cup of comedy right there. That smart, fast, witty, pacing, dry ass humor is like, I love it. So good. Great show. Must watch. Yeah, my buddy does the birding too, and I laugh, and he's got like an app, and I'm like, bro, this is.
I have the app too.
I mean, bro, I'm like, this is Pokemon. You're just playing Pokemon with one type. That's all it is. You're collecting birds, is what you're doing.
100%.
And he's like screaming his phone. It's like a bald eagle. I think his rarest is you saw a bald eagle on the down by the lakeshore.
I see eagles all the time. Come on, brother, yeah. You gotta come at me.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. Come at him. Come at him, Annmarie. Okay, so Anne-Marie's a birder. Okay, the more you know, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I want to just thank you again for your time and your expertise. I want to talk about, just from the actress perspective of, it's hard. Me and Charlene, who is the face behind E11, we were discussing this. It's always this like funny thing. Going back to the Canadianisms, it's like, there's a show, it's casting. We're looking for a 5'9" East Asian guy with a beard and a little bit of a coif, but muscular, so not me. And the question is, who is the one who's casting? It's like, who decides who gets you the part? And everyone's like, okay, well, all right. So the casting directors, they submit the audition. Then your agent, they submit you for the audition. The casting directors sift through all the auditions and they pick a couple people to come out for it. And then you put a tape down and boom, the tape is sent. And then what? That's the question that everyone asks. So from your experience, I know it always differentiates, especially when you go from TV and film and depending on network or what have you. When you get something like that, you get a submission, let's say it's for a guest star spot or a large principal spot on a series that you are either a showrunner or one of the head writers on or executive producer. How often are you involved in the casting process? And how often are you just like not seeing enough options? Or how often do you say, hey, casting director, maybe could we see a couple more? Mm-hmm. In general, I know this is a weird question, and I'm just picking your brain here. What's that look like on a day, like on a full season? Like how often you get involved in the casting process, and how involved are you personally on deciding, you and your team, of course,
right,
who gets the role for what?
Yeah, it really depends on my role in that project, as you said. Like if I am the showrunner of something, or I am, whatever, I'm number one or number two or whatever, one of the head writers on the show. And it depends on the team that I'm working with too. I tend to work with a lot of times with the same people. And so we have a relationship that says, hey, what do we think about this person, or what do we think? And sometimes we will have like a back and forth, but sometimes and there's a collective, oh, we really like this person, let's put them on. And there's a collective vibe. And that happens a lot, actually, where we're like, okay, here's the short list. And then we get down to the nitty gritty of like fighting for, this is my person. This is who I think is right for it. And then the network has a way in too.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Sometimes I may love someone, the network's like, no. And you kind of have to, you can make your best pitch, but ultimately sometimes you will get overwritten by those who are, airing your show, right? So it so varies. But when you see something special, when you see something, even if it's unexpected, there's a collective kind of note like that you've seen, even if they're not maybe right for the thing that you thought they were, doesn't mean you won't try to find a place for them, because there's something really lovely and really unique and really, I'm always like, my position is always, here I have the saying, make it better, right? And that's camera, that's actors, that's wardrobe, that's whatever. And I'm always looking for bring the best. Let's make this better together. And so when someone steps in and they, audition and they make it better, or they bring it to life in a way that you've dreamed or you've thought or you weren't expecting, there was just something that's usually like a collective feeling you're around, like you all get that vibe. So that's, and sometimes it's like it's not there. You look and you've seen 20 or 30 or 40 or whatever, and you're like, can I see some more? Can we widen the search maybe can we think of you know, let's either I'm widening the character approach, maybe I'll slide an age or change something, or can we just expand our search for this character because we're not seeing what we really are hoping to see. So it is really a collective effort.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really, for me, I've never had it live with one person in terms of like, hey, this is my guy, and I don't care what the rest of you guys think. Like I've never. I think my most recent, I did a writing repair job on a project that I won't name, but I came in and sort of did like a little we're shooting in a couple of weeks and this is not working. Can you come in? And I had no input in the casting. I was just there to, fix the problems in the story and kind of quietly slip away. And I sort of caught a glimpse of the casting and I was like, oh, I wouldn't have made any of those choices, So it's interesting. Yeah. It was felt very strange
Right.
to not be involved in like, hey, like so there are times where it's like it's way out of my hands. That's not in my purview. That's not what I'm here to do. But if I'm a showrunner or a head writer or a producer on something, I will definitely fight for someone I think is really worth seeing.
Right. No, it's good to hear. It's good to hear. There's always this weird, like, there's this fairy dust of what happens in between, and I try whenever I'm on set to always, hey, man, or hey, gal, or hey,
Yeah.
so what, why'd you pick little old me, Just without sounding like desperado, just so that I know, what I can do again that worked. And sometimes it's out of your goddamn. I remember I was once I did speaking of St. John's, I was in the other St. John's, I was doing Hudson and Rex, and the director was someone I had done a Hallmark feature with, and he's just like, yeah, I saw 4 tapes, I recognized you, so I said, bring this guy on. So sometimes it's just a rolling Rolodex of when you're an actor, and I think I would like you to attest to this and tell me if this is correct. I think as actors, we have to show the utmost appreciation and respect and be someone that you want to work with on set, because it goes a long way. I've seen the divas and they don't work after a while because it's a small business, right? Yes. I think that's a very important thing, especially as an artist, because as an actor, things can get to your head very easily. Being humble and grateful and, appreciating the moment that you're in and everyone who works around and with you on that project, I think is extremely important. And I feel like, again, you can attest when you have a negative energy on a set, it is laser, like it's like spotlight on that person, and that person can be easily not usable again after that moment, right?
Absolutely. And for me, I am blessed and cursed with a very long memory. I will not forget those who were kind to me when they did not need to be. And I will not forget those who are horrible to me when they did not need to be. So when it comes to casting, and even if I love someone in the audition and for whatever reason they did not make it to book that role, I will think of them moving forward. I will think of like, oh, here's a chance to use that actor that I didn't get to use before, because I love the performance, but I am at this beautiful point of my career. If I can help not working with horrible humans, I just won't, I just won't do it. And that continues to be an issue, whether you're in front of the camera, behind the camera, whatever, that I think we have to get to the point where it's not, your talent is not enough to tolerate that behavior.
100%. Annmarie, it was an accident when I spilled wine at you at the CSAs. I did not mean to. I was pushed. I'm kidding, guys. It didn't happen. I'm joking. I 100% agree with you. It's true. And you do remember. It's like, I actually have a couple of moments where I'm like, oh yeah, you again, huh?
Mental note to self. I'm like,
note to self. Okay. Note to self.
But I truly do appreciate it, even when they're horrible, because I like to know who I'm dealing with. I don't like to be bait and switch. I'm like, oh, they're they're just so grateful to get the part. Now, who's this showing up? Like, who's this? I'm like, oh,
Right. Yeah.
To self. Okay. So yeah, I just think life is too short to work with terrible people. But
I read the episode for tomorrow. My head gets chopped off.
how did that happen? I
thought this was PBS. What's going on? What's the deal with that? Ladies and gentlemen, we're here with Annmarie Morais, showrunner, writer extraordinaire. Go look her up. Just Google her. All right, Google her, and then come back and talk. And then you know what's up. We're gonna take a quick break from our guests. So this is a time to go use the washroom, get your Diet Cokes. We're trying to get sponsorship. Diet Cokes, maybe Diet Coke. Maybe get yourself a little refreshment and come right back. And we will be wrapping up with Annmarie Morais after these messages. See you soon.
My objective, my game here is not to keep you in perpetual classes. My game here is to get you camera ready so that when the opportunity arises for you to compete for a role, you get the role. And you are so incredibly efficient and effective on set that, oh my gosh, you're called back in to read again and again and again. You're invited back to the party again and again and again. That, to me, is what a good class should be all about. Getting you to the point where you don't need a class. And if I play my cards right, and if you guys do your job right, hopefully it won't be long before that's the case.
Actors, I know you feel like you're sending your self-tapes into the void because you've told me time and time again, and I feel you, and you're not alone. That's exactly why I created the Callback Collective, a monthly private community for actors. It's a nice low-pressure way to stay consistent, get better at self-directing, build your confidence, and finally feel like you're not doing this alone. Every month, you get a live Q&A with me. You get access to a ton of resources. You get a self-tape challenge, and then there's going to be a live Zoom where we go through your self-tape and I give you adjustments and feedback on the spot. You get to redo it like a callback. And you also get access to this private, beautiful, growing community. It's like a gym class, sort of, but for actors. No judgment, real growth, supportive community. So whether you're just starting out or getting back into the groove of things, this is the accountability and support you've been missing. So join the Callback Collective today. There is a special sale for eBoss listeners for a limited time. So join now, get in for June. We're just getting started and I can't wait to work with you. See you soon.
First thing, shoes in point, no scuffs, perfect polish. And when you walk, walk like a man with answers, because whether or not you have them, that's who you have to be.
If anyone's got a right to that stage, it's me.
You think I'm out front just because I'm creaming your coffee? Try a little talent.
Zeke, you make sure that my husband stays out of trouble tonight.
Don't I always?
You think I need a partner?
I think you need a man that knows every vein in them trains.
What makes you think you'll even make it to the door?
I have been called the most dangerous Negro in America.
If I wanted to get deporters into a union, what's the first thing I should do? The great fear of the white worker is that our elevation means their elimination.
We are supposed to create our own opportunities.
There are rules to be obeyed, Marlene, and I strongly suggest you start playing yours.
When I hear somebody trying to sell me on a better life, I gotta ask myself, what is so bad about the life they got?
I know y'all might be scared of what might happen if we do this, but maybe it's time we start thinking about what happens if we don't. You sure you don't want to work with me? You sure you don't want to join the movement?
I'm good.
The force of our oppression is the truest measure of our power.
Known when to be a bull-headed Negro motherfucker, and when not to be.
I'm a Puerto Papsi, the most invisible man on the earth.
star-studded cast and crew of Black excellence was that show, man. I'm just
Thank you.
lovely series, The Porter. I mean, just through and through, what a great series. And I mean, you guys well got the recognition, the CSAs, that is for damn sure. Yeah. And that was the message from our sponsors, guys. Thank you so much for all the support from everybody who is watching. We're here with Annmarie Morais. We're trying to get sponsorship deals. Okay.
I wish I had some. I wish I had. Oh.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Next time I'll Amazon Prime it. You'll probably get there the same hour before nowadays. I'm so sorry. Yeah, welcome back. We're with Annmarie Morais. We're picking her brain here and there. We're just getting a little bit of answers, a little bit of nuggets, a little bit of juicy details of how to succeed in the business, what to do, what not to do. And speaking of which, you are in a position where you create series, you create content for people like myself and others in this business. What is a piece of advice you have for any actor who's watching the show right now? Because there are lots. As far as, their craft and what they're doing, is there something that they could be doing more? And is there something that they should be doing less? What they should be looking out for? What kind of work they should be doing in order to hone their craft, etc.
I think in terms of approaching it from the talent side, there is, my hope is when we come together, the hope is that we all come together with mutual respect for one another. And again, as I said before, that we come together to make this better. And to do that, it acknowledges that I possess a certain skill set that, maybe you don't, and you have one that I don't. But when we come together from a place of respect and from a place of honoring that and from a place of a spirit of cooperation, it just makes the process so much more fulfilling. It makes the project, it elevates the project, and I think it grows as both as creatives. And sometimes I get, from the talent side, sometimes I get, when it's not working well, I get someone with a red pen and saying, here are the things I want you to fix. And I say, well, that's not the approach. That's not the approach. And I think, when you are saying, let's work together to do the best thing, it is a conversation. And I think the line that I literally said to someone, and I said, I'm not the secretary, I'm not the receptionist, I'm not here to take dictation, but I am open to conversation that is respectful at any time. Because I'm not, things that I am passionate about, when someone steps into this role, instead, they're going to invent and discover and see things in ways that I haven't. And we might argue about whether that makes it stronger or not, but it's a conversation. So always approach it from a spirit of cooperation, always approach it from a spirit of open communication. And I don't care if you're number 1 or number 51 on the call sheet, that is the attitude that I think creates great work together.
Yeah, it's a collaboration, it's a growth, it's discovery is the word that I like to use. Discovery is great. Sometimes you discover the wrong thing. You just discover it again. It's fine.
That's okay. I'm happy. There's a reason to sit on the set with the laptops and whatever, because I will make a change in a minute.
Right.
If something that is better and stronger. Sometimes you have to make change for budget and time and other things that you don't love, but it's just the business of the business. But sometimes someone says, hey, I want to try something, and it really it's in line, it's in line with the vision. It is them being in that character skin or being that moment, and they're discovering something, and if it works, it works. So I'm excited to make changes that are for the good, but it's always about respectful communication and respecting each other's what one another brings to the table.
Absolutely. Juxtaposed to that, what's some advice you give for aspiring actors, writers, creators? Sorry, I said actors, writers, creators, producers, or even actors who are looking to create or produce their own work. What's something you could what's some words of confidence, words of advice for the young Annmarie Morais who are looking to finish their security job in the mornings and start writing on a television show and making their dreams come true?
Yeah, it is. Think in terms of the long term, right? Think in terms of the long term because I have a high level of impatience, and nothing that has come to me in terms of producibility or has found its way to the screen came quickly. So I think I had to sort of steel myself for the longer journey. If it happens quick, it's great, beautiful. That's not usually the way it works for me. But also, you have to develop thick skin and be unafraid of the word no. Because I hear it a lot. And sometimes that comes from a place of, wisdom, perceived wisdom, because I'm the financier, I'm the producer, I'm the this, I'm what I see what you're trying to do, and it's not for this time and it's not for this moment. I stepped onto the Porter, after it had been in many, it wasn't birthed by me. It was carried originally by, Arnold Pinnock and Bruce Ramsey, actors who had sort of stepped over into that producing side and had created and had a show Bible and had a lot of things for a lot of years. So it's like they had carried that, and then, little by little, they let people aboard that dream, and it became a community that, so carried it forward. But I wasn't the originator of that. I just stepped into it, but they had really pitched and developed, and finally they found the right fit and the right team, and it went forward. But if I stopped at every no, most things that I've done would never have been done. Sometimes it's a matter of timing, sometimes it's a matter of connection and the right attachment in the right time in the right season. Did the world have to change a little bit for BIPOC stories to be getting a voice? Yeah, it did. I mean, we endured some horrific things for people to start to question the lack of representation, the lack of our voices became too glaring an omission to ignore. So I think if the no scares you, you have to really steel your heart around that. Because it's not also always coming from a horrible place. Sometimes it's coming from a fear place. Sometimes it's coming from a lack of vision. Sometimes it's just coming from the good dollars and cents that, hey, it's not for now, but it's not for never. It's like, it's not. So really not being rocked by that is I would say, a really great habit of the heart to build up for yourself.
Yeah. Thickness of the skin is a necessity in this world, regardless of where you are. Annmarie, what would you like to do with the Canadian industry to change it for the better? If you took a magic wand, Harry Potter style, blah, 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 poof, what is that thing that you would, it could be multiple things. World is your oyster. What would you change to make the industry better? If, money was no object, if politics were no object, if it was just Annmarie saying, hey, I can fix this.
Yeah. Oh, there are things that are changing, which are great. I mean, I love the Black Screen Office. I love there's some wonderful initiatives that are coming to sort of bring voices that don't necessarily have a seat at the table to the table and to the table in ways that have authorship of their creativity. I say with brutal honesty that it was not Canada that started my career. It was not. I won a fellowship that was and is still sponsored by the Motion Picture Academy. They gave us a stipend that allowed me to write. And from that moment, I think back in the days of answering machines, when I won this competition, my answering machine was full for the first time in my life. And only 2 of those calls were from Canadian companies. One of them I still work with today.
Wow.
So there is an aggressiveness, and you talked a bit about the politeness, but there is an aggressiveness for talent. But there's also a way to support that talent financially in those stages of development, in those stages of, yeah, you know what, we need writing fellowships. We need more paid industry. We need, if we can allow people to both survive financially and grow in creative knowledge and industry experience, it's brilliant. That can keep people in their home there where they want to stay now more than ever. Do you know,
Right.
that's so huge. So yeah, Annmarie to wave the magic wand, and people who, and it's not just an age thing. Like, there are people who have come into this from other careers, and they are later on in their life years, but they are still new. They're still finding their way, and I think they have as much right to be supported as anybody else. If you're 20 or if you're 50, if you're whatever, yeah, that's hugely important. It's hugely important, and I would love to see that reflected more here. And I think what is starting to happen, that there's a lot more of a groundswell support of not about us without us, which is wonderful. And now we kind of need to see those people, those entities in positions of power to say, hey, there's a green light here that is not, that is, it's not 1,000 leaps and hurdles to get to go, you know. And I think that is also reflective of having more BIPOC people in positions of, you know, financing, in positions that we normally were not common to see us in. So I think that's hugely important. So it starts on a macro, it starts on a major, like, it's all different parts of the pieces, but from just incubating talent, supporting that talent, to making sure we have inroads for people who can make decisions, support these voices, and who have an understanding of those stories and of those creatives and of those creators that I think other people do not. So a lot of things, a lot of magic dust on a lot of things, you know?
Absolutely. No, well said. I agree with absolutely all that. Yes, correct. Well said. Thank you so much for that. Annmarie, I just want to thank you again for joining us today. You have been a light in what is a dark place right now. It warms my heart to hear that there's a lot of positivity and a lot of things that are happening. Speaking of happenings, what is happening that you're allowed to talk about? What is on the table for yourself? Are you working on some projects? You don't have to say what they are, just yes or no. And maybe on top of that, if there was like the perfect project that you could just get greenlit with that same magic wand I gave you an hour ago, like 10 minutes ago, 5 seconds ago, what would that be? What would that, like, what's that project?
So many things.
I know.
Right now, I am doing a couple. I have stuff in the TV world, and some of that's adaptations from books to TV. Not my books, but definitely my vision of those books on screen. One in the sci-fi world, one in kind of the YA, or now called NA world, which I love. I love brown people in different roles, it's my jam. If I could just say, oh my gosh, I do have a project, and I know, listen, I ain't trying to steal off the Sinners vibe, but it's like, I was talking about Black vampires for a while.
Yeah, no, don't you hate when that happens? Don't you hate when that happens? Like, I love this, but I was supposed to do it.
I would do it. No, that's definitely one of my, if I had a magic dust, my little magic dust to make it happen right now. That's definitely one of the personal. It's like, I am my own IP. I do love good IP, but I am my own IP.
Nice.
And I have some of my stories that I really love, and that is definitely one of them. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Check back in a little bit.
Yeah, there's lots of time, baby, to do your thing. I'm going to ask you this one last question before we wrap it up. Thank you again for joining us. But this one that we like to always ask our guests on the panel. We all have motivators. We all have mentors. We all have people who have left a lasting impression in our lives and who have helped get to where we are today. It could be 1, it could be 2, it could be 10, it could be 20. who are those or that person that has been an inspiration for you and has guided you and maybe continues to guide you on your journey as a creative?
I will say it is a different world now than when I started. So I didn't really have someone who was like, I'm running alongside you. And I was really fortunate to have, like, I would say, moments of grace here, just moments that said, hey, when I was like thought it was felt impossible, I had people who would step in and speak life to me, which was really sticking. So now, like, I do a lot of mentorship work because I want to run along somebody, because that wasn't, but for those moments of grace is why I do that. So I went to film at York U, and director Seth Sutherland was like a year ahead of me, and I did security for her short film, and years later,
wow,
he did my episode of Law and Order. So it was like a full circle thing. Yeah. We weren't like super close, but it was so inspiring to me to see like another Black student in this program. I wanted to direct and was doing his own thing. And so that was wonderful. Peter Mohan, who's sort of a Canadian icon as a producer and a writer, gave me my first job as a writer, on a very now kitschy defunct show called Mutant X, and whatever. So it was like a paycheck is everything, and Peter really advocated for me.
Mm-hmm.
He knew me as a PA in the office of Due South, so that was tremendous. And I think Jeremy Kleiner, who you might know, runs all of Brad Pitt's stuff as a producer and has been on the Oscar stage a zillion times. But my first trip to LA and doing all the meetings, and he was the story assistant at Coppelson, who ran down the hall and jumped over the sofa and said, "Oh my God, I loved your script so much. I'm telling everybody about it. How can I help you?" And he continues to be like, "How can I help you?" And now, like, dude, you are so like far beyond, whatever. But it's like, hold on to good people because they're good people, not just because they're in this business, which has been wonderful. Like, I have people who I love dearly who are in this business, who have left this business, who have pivoted to other things. But there's no doubt when somebody feels your genuine care for who they are and your genuine hope for their success. I try to be that person, because those people were and are those people for me. So yeah, care about someone because you care about someone. And not every meeting, not every connection is going to be that. That's fine, but don't pretend like it is. Like, that's really great. That's really great. So I'm so grateful for those people who, like, different people like that. My screenwriting professor who told me, literally grabbed my shoulder and said, "Hey, I think you can really do this if you wanted to do this." So there have been moments, and I am so grateful for those moments that, I want to definitely pay that forward, because they came in times where I was really struggling to hold on to that dream.
Thank you so much, Annmarie. Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, our winner for tonight's contest is none other than Kelly Buell.
Kelly Buell.
She also was commenting during the show. This is really great to learn about the industry. Thank you so much, Kelly. We're happy to help you. Please contact us at ebosscanada@gmail.com for your prize. We will keep you in the loop on when and how to claim it. So thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Annmarie, it was such a pleasure chatting with you. You rock.
It was so much fun. Thank you so much.
I've seen you around in many of these events, but it's really good to sit down and actually pick your brain. And thank you for being such an open book, and for sharing your knowledge and your insights. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Entertainment 411. I'm Fareed Yazdani. This was Annmarie Morais extraordinaire, and of course, we have another show for you next week. Make sure you tune in. Kevin McDonald, funny man, Canadiano, Kids in the Hall, will be joining us on Tuesday. So make sure you tune in. Set your PVR if you're from the 80s. And if you're not, just remember, because that's what people do nowadays. I'm Fareed, and this is Entertainment 401. Have a good night, everybody. Boom.